Okay, we're going to run through the shifter stop install for, in this case, a 23 VB WRX. Here's the COBB part number. Not a whole lot in the box. You got the actual shifter stop here. We'll unpack in a second, but it's a plastic stop, kind of like the reverse lockout. And your hardware, I've already pre-threaded the thinner nut onto these posts just so it's prepped up and ready to go when we start installing it. So we're going to go ahead and screw the shifter knob and pull out the trim plate here. You just pull it from the back, and then you're going to kind of want to take it at an angle. There's, I think, 3 tabs up front that you want to make sure you clear because they're tabbed in forward part of the car. Let's go ahead and get the knob off, get the panel out, and get the installation started. Just real quick, you can see we've got the back section pulled up. 2 blue tabs here. Finger on the brake, one on the side. I think there may be a couple more up here, but you can see how we're kind of leaning it. See if we got anything else in there, and then we'll pull this boot up over the reverse collar. Here's what we're looking like for the tabs. 2 in the very back, 2 on the side rearward, 2 kind of in the middle, 2 closer into that storage area, and then the 3 tabs that tab in up front. So got it popped out. We're gonna loosen these guys up. The instructions say you need a 10 and a 12 millimeter. These are the 10. So what I've seen other folks do, take one out, and then you're gonna run in one of your nuts with the it's post on already. Run that in, torque one of these down, then remove the other guy, and do the same process. So you can leave. This is your reverse lockout stop. So if you do it that way, you won't have to reset it if you like the position it's at already. You also, from factory, it has these. I think those are supposed to show that it's torque, but also can use that as where it was, kind of a positioning mark. So we'll go ahead and loosen this rear one up and run one of these posts in. I believe once you run it in, bottom it out, and then take it out 2 full turns, but I'll check in the instructions. Okay, so I was wrong. It's actually run it down until it bottoms out, and then back it out 1 full turn. And make sure that you don't bottom out the nut and you're actually bottoming out the stud. Next, we're going to hold the stud in place, run the nut down as hand tight as we can get it, and then take our torque wrench and tighten it down to, I think it's 4 to 5 foot-pounds, which is 48 to 60 inch-pounds. So we'll go ahead, again, hold the stud in place, run the nut down, and then torque it, and then we'll move on to the upper bolt, and hopefully the reverse lockout plate, or whatever you want to call it, stop, will stay where it was. Get the first side torque down. Quick note is you may want a deep 10 mil socket to run that COBB nut down. The regular socket, the studs start to touch the extension, so it'll make it easier if you have a deep socket. So we're going to move on to the top one. Get that guy out, put the stud in, run it down, back it out 1 turn, and repeat the torquing process. Okay, we've got both of the studs locked down. We tested it for reverse lockout functionality again, just to make sure all is good. We can still get in reverse. 5th, 6th, a little bit of play, not bad. 3rd's definitely tight, but then you go over 1st, and you can see without the stop, tons of play. 5th, a little bit, 1st, tons. So hopefully this stop will get rid of that. So we're gonna get a little plastic stop out of the bag. Looks a lot like the reverse one, and pop it on there, try to get a good idea where we want it, and then start putting the hardware on and do a fit check. All right, so we have the COBB stop placed over the COBB nuts that hold in the reverse lockout stop. Their instructions are pretty goofy for the hardware. So you got these almost conical washers that are like being used as a compression or a lock washer, more like compression to lock it, keep it in tension. It says the pointy side facing up, which I think is interesting. It's basically the curved. convex side facing up. Hope I'm saying that right. But you can barely tell. There's a concavity here, domes here. So maybe another term is the dome side facing up. So we'll go ahead and drop that guy on. Don't drop any hardware in the hole. Probably not smart to do this with one hand and a camera, but make sure you got a magnet on a stick just in case you happen to lose the hardware. Got lucky with that one. So that one's down. Now we'll test our luck over here. Let's pull the shifter back on the clutch here. Get that guy on. Remember, dome side up. Sorry for the sweaty hands. This is Arizona and I'm in the garage. It's pretty warm. Okay, so we got these guys on. So now, get a little bit tight there. We're gonna go ahead and adjust this side to side in first and second gear. I mean, I'm gonna try to match what the slop is like in fifth and sixth. I think the COBB instructions also say like the width of a zip tie, so I guess you could place a zip tie in here in first and then back it up, but I'm just gonna mess with it a little bit, see where it's happy, and then kind of lightly tighten these guys down, run it through a few times, and then send them home with the 5 foot-pounds or 60 inch-pounds. So I think I'm pretty happy with where I've got it. Here's first gear. Here's second. I think I've got a little bit more play in second. That's pretty close. So what it is, I just lightly tighten these guys. Obviously didn't want to drive them home because if you tighten these all the way down, you run the risk of backing out the bottom side if you torque them down when you loosen them up. I mean, probably not, because these are cranked down pretty good into metal, so they may lock themselves, but yeah, it's just not worth going through all that effort. So just make sure you get it a little bit of play. It feels like it's got a little bit more, so I may try to even it out. Gosh, it's really hard to tell. It's pretty close, but give yourself enough to make it function. Let's see what, yeah, I'm still doing better than fifth and sixth. It's pretty darn close though. So I think I got it about as good as it's gonna get. Let's see, that looks like it's moving a little bit because it's not torqued too, so you want to make sure that when you tighten it down, it may tighten up a little bit. So I wouldn't get right on the hairy edge of what's acceptable. I'd give yourself a little bit of play. So we'll tighten this down and see what we get. So interesting thing happened. I gave myself that much slack, and after torquing him down all the way, none. I gotta loosen it up. That's gonna be a problem. So check it after you tighten them all down, because you may have lost whatever little bit of play you wanted. So now I gotta loosen them up and go back again. Okay, quite a process. I'm not gonna lie, that was probably 20 minutes-ish screwing around with loosening these guys, moving it, thinking I moved it to tighten when I tightened it, or thinking it stayed in place when I tightened it. What I found, this guy likes to walk when you tighten it. I think that's what was happening. I think also the channel in here kind of gets bound up on the nut that's holding the reverse lockout in. It's something along those lines. Anyway, what I ended up doing is just moving it all the way over, and I'm sure it's different because this is the STI short throw, so maybe it's different for other folks. I ended up moving all the way over, holding it in place and tightening these guys down, and it got me, I mean, maybe some people want it tighter than this, but I think that's pretty good. There's second. I really don't want to go tighter than that. It's pretty close to third gear. They're already torqued down. I mean, that's pretty good. Here kind of an example is if I pull up on the reverse lockout, which is what's really running into that COBB stop. If I pull up on it, look at that play. If I drop it, so that's a pretty significant difference. There's still a little bit, so I feel pretty good about not making it difficult to get into gear. I think I'm going to drop a tiny little drop of blue Loctite on here just to feel better about it, because tightening it up, loosening it, tightening it kind of takes away the whole point of those concave, convex, depending which side you look at, washers. You know, flatten them out. So kind of defeats the point of it. So I'm going to throw a little bit of Loctite on there just to feel better, because I don't want to take it apart again. What I did when I was having all the troubles, I took it off again, checked these guys. Luckily, the bottom nuts didn't loosen up in the whole process. I torqued these, I want to say 4 or 5 times, loosened them up, and these guys didn't come loose. So that system does work pretty darn good. So I'm going to go ahead, run through the gears a bit more, and then probably throw the Loctite on there and button it up in the reverse order, but anybody can figure that out. Put the cover back on, put the knob back on, that's easy stuff. So again, I'll tighten them up, torque again to 5 foot-pounds, 60 inch-pounds, Loctite, done. We'll see how it fares. I think it's pretty good. It's a pretty good reduction. I mean, again, what it probably was, what it is now, it's pretty good. And I'll report back after driving it. Hopefully I don't have any problems getting into gears because I got to work tomorrow.